This is Senior Product Manager Derek Wood welcoming you to another Infrascale how-to video. Welcome to Infrascale. We appreciate you trying out the service. Today we're going to be going through your next steps in getting set up to configure your backup through the Infrascale system. The first thing you do is in the email you received confirming your account, select the Set Password link and then define your password. Once you've set your password, go back to the login screen for the dashboard and enter the username that you set when you signed up and the password you just configured. Once you open the dashboard, you'll notice a number of items in the top menu bar: Manage, Monitoring, Reporting, Apps, Settings, and Help. So if you need some help, you can always go to the Help option, contact us, visit our knowledge base, or visit our YouTube channel. You'll also notice that when you go to different pages, for example, the monitoring page, you'll get a message from within the dashboard. These messages are to help you get started. So we'll have these messages periodically to announce new features, existing features, or just in general how things are going. So the first thing that we've gone back into the dashboard is first we want to create a backup account. So we go to Backup Accounts and select Create. Go ahead and fill out the form. By default, it'll suggest that you use the email address that you put in as the contact email to name the account. You don't have to do this. Some people like to create backup accounts for a particular user, and users can deploy this backup account on any device they're using, whether it's their mobile device or laptops throughout the history with their company. Or you can create a backup account to be device specific, or even a single backup account for a group of devices, as there is no device limit for your backup accounts. So you can manually change this if you like, but we'll leave it as the email address for now. And then decide if you want it to be ultra safe or not. Ultra safe means that we're going to manage the encryption keys a bit differently, meaning we're not going to manage them. So we will never actually have the encryption keys stored on our servers at any point in time. This means that in the case of an audit, we would be able to give access only to encrypted data, but wouldn't actually have the encryption keys to hand over. This also means that there's no way to recover your password if you forget it. So you only want to use UltraSafe if you're quite certain that this is the option you want to choose. I'll leave it as a standard backup account and give it humble 10 gig backup size. Here, if you've purchased your Shadow Protect license or Exchange Granular Recovery license, then you can go ahead and assign that today. Right now with this trial, we don't have those licenses, and if you're interested, you can talk to our support reps about that. Assigning limited rights to a backup account user is a good idea if you're going to give the user access to their backup account. Limited rights means that the user can log in and see the status of their backups, but they would not be able to delete backups from the cloud. They would only be able to do recoveries. And this is good in the case that you have users that are capable of performing their own recovery through our simple system, and it helps them be more productive on the road. So once you've selected all of this information, hit Create. Now this was just a single backup account creation, so we don't need to go through this step every time. If you go to our Apps section and go to the Create Custom Msi, we have a how-to video that will show you how to quickly deploy this to all of your devices using the MSI Builder here through Active Directory. Or for users that are off-network, you can email an MSI download link to the user, and all they have to do is initiate the installation of the MSI. And then all of the login and backup configuration is done automatically. That way, you can protect those endpoints that are outside of your network. Okay, we've created a backup account. Now we need to run a backup. So come down to the bottom below and select the download for the appropriate software. So we have Online Backup for Mac or Online Backup for Windows. We do have a separate option for Windows XP in 2003, which is version 6.3. All newer versions will be downloadable here. Select the download link and run the install. I already have the install, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the software now. Use the username and password we just configured and log into the backup account. From here, you have the option to choose Standard UltraSafe or UltraSafe Max. UltraSafe Max means you'll set an additional passphrase for the account. So anytime you'll be accessing the account, whether to run a backup or to recover, you'll need this separate passphrase. We're going to not change the account type. Okay, first step, we're going to come here and configure a file and folder backup. Here we have the option to scan all folders, scan just the My Personal folders, for example, My Documents, My Pictures, My Music, or do not scan and manually select the next step. To make it simple, we can go through a Scan My Personal folders. This is going to scan our system and tell us how much data we have for each. So here we can see we have a lot of images, which I'll deselect. I don't need to back those up for the business. Also, music files aren't needed. And then we have some video files, which we also don't need to back up. We just want to protect the user's documents. We can go to Edit, and we can add custom exclusions by file type or size, or by specific folders if we like. I select Next. I don't need to select anything different. This is already showing me that I've selected what is based on the scanner, and every time the backup runs, it'll rescan the system to identify new files that follow those requirements, so the documents. Select Next, set a schedule. For end users, it's common to set an hourly schedule. Every couple of hours is usually pretty good, and that means that anytime the backup's going to run, it's typically only going to back up 1 or 2 files on average. And this, of course, depends on your user. But this backup happens very quickly and it's very light on your system. This is one of the best ways to guarantee the lowest amount of risk of data loss for an end user. You have an option for a retention policy, but we'll go ahead and leave that. And then we have a backup report. I'm going to disable the backup report because after this, we're going to go through and show how we can set up basic monitoring. We select Finish, and the backup's going to run. Now that we've set our password as the admin, we've created a backup account and run a backup, let's go and set up our settings for better monitoring so that the system tells me when I need to pay attention rather than having to constantly check to make sure everything's okay. Okay, back in our dashboard, we can go to monitoring. Here in the monitoring page, we can see that we already have an active backup running, which is what we just ran. It gives me the account name, the system name that it's running on, the type of backup, and the job name if applicable. And it'll update the backup details as it progresses. In the monitoring system, we have a series of errors, warnings, and successes. So green's good, yellow's a warning that maybe you should look at it, and then red is definitely you should look at it. You have different filters here to see what you could possibly see in the monitoring system. So whether it's a canceled backup, completed, failed to run, currently running, or if it's something about the count. For example, if the account is running over quota. So to make things easier to manage, let's go to Monitoring Settings, and we want to subscribe to error and warning only events. So we don't need to see that backups are running successfully. We just need to be alerted, say for our internal ticketing system, that somebody needs to pay attention because something may not be running a backup any longer. So you identify an email address to report this. Let's say support@supportdesk.com, whatever the email address is for your team. And you can select when you want to receive a warning. So I want to see a warning if a backup runs with some errors, or if a backup hasn't run in 3 days, or if a backup fails, or if a backup hasn't run in a week. I can also subscribe to a daily report just to give me a status of all the devices that I'm currently monitoring. This is good for administrators that don't need to react to something that's going on, but they just want to have a record of what's happening. Select Save, and that's it. So we have now, there's one last thing you have to make sure before you think you're good to go, and that's doing a test recovery. There's no point in having a backup tool if you don't know if you can recover from it or not. So let's go back to our application, and we can click into View and Restore right now. So this is already going to refresh information as far as what's been backed up on our machine. So here on the left side, we can browse through the familiar Windows tree structure. And we can go to, say, Documents, and select this document and hit Recover. We have the default location to the My Restores folder, or I can do a new location. I'm going to choose the desktop. And if you include the original file path, what we'll see on the desktop is first the Gherkin LT folder name. If I don't include that, it'll just show the files. So I won't include the original file path. I'll select OK, and then it's going to give us a recovery. And here's the file. So now that we've run a backup, we've run a test recovery, and we've set up for monitoring, we're good to go. For more information, visit infrascale.com or check out our YouTube channel for more self-help videos.